So, in this particular session, I'll start with one of the aspects that is very much, pertinent to me whenever I am on the other side of the table. And that is why this FDP. Because usually what happens is whenever we are on this other side of this FDP, we have so many things to do, right? When we have so many work pressure, we have classes to take, we have research to conduct, we have these things to do. So the question that comes to our mind is why this particular FDP. So I'll just establish a certain need for this FDP, these type of FDPs. As I already said earlier as well, these particular FDPs or these type of FDPs are not going to give you a great amount of knowledge per se. They are basically meant for sensitization. So you get sensitized regarding new things that are happening since we invite number of resource person varied with a varied and diverse background. So what happens is during any one of their talks, you may get a interest in some of the topics or any one of the topics that will you can then further explore at your end. One of the best compliment I got was when I was conducting in the online thing was in the online FDP was when one of the participant I did an FDP last year, online FDP on the topic of metaverse. And one of the participants said, "Sir, because of your FDP, I came to know about metaverse. I became interested in the topic of metaverse, and then I explored it further." And he was happy to share that he actually published one reference book published by Springer on the topic of metaverse. Though no doubt there were few other authors. One of the author was from the American University. He was the third author, but he became so much interested that he started exploring it, trying to connect with the people who were working on the metaverse domain, and ultimately he was able to do that particular thing. So that is the major objective here, right? So one of the major objective is only this, that you get sensitized, you get interested in some of the any or some of the topics, and then you further explore this because you all are experts, and this is just a knowledge sharing platform. So please feel free if you have something to contribute or at any point of time in my session, at least you can raise query at any point of time. So please feel free to contribute during that particular time. So let's start with as I said, why this FDP. So we know that change is happening around us, right? And change is happening in number of domains. Whether we'll accept it or we do not accept it, but change is bound to happen. And there is a very peculiar behavior of this change. So if you know any type of change, so say a person who is used to live in a very unhygienic and a unclean environment, you take this person out and suddenly you put him into a very clean and hygienic environment. What will be the first reaction of that person is? Will not like, right? So there will be a resistance. Very true, Mr. Sulabh. What you have said is absolutely correct. That there will be a resistance. Though you are taking that person out from a very unhygienic and a dirty environment and putting that person into a very hygienic and clean environment, still that person is going to resist that. Why? Because that's human nature to do. We doesn't from a human nature's perspective or human behavior's perspective, we do not like any type of change. But if you look at the spelling of this word change, if I replace alphabet G by alphabet C, what the word becomes? Right? It becomes chance. So change is also a chance, right? An opportunity. So it's up to us whether we see that as half glass full or half glass empty. So change is also always an a thing of opportunity. Also, change is the only constant in the life, and this is being said not by me but by Lord Gautam Buddha. So if Lord Gautam Buddha has said it, it might, definitely must be true. So that is the only thing that remains in life, and that is change, only constant in life. So let's see what are the things that are changing in and around us. So if you can see on my screen, how many of you can guess this symbol? I've just shown you this particular symbol, right? Just raise your hands if you are able to.
Korean heart, Korean
Korean,
heart.
right? Korean heart, right? Prerna ma'am and Garima ma'am was very quick to identify that, right? Korean heart, and I am quite sure that many of us are aware, but many of us are also not aware about this. And reason is simple. Reason is that today's workforce comprises of three generations primarily. If you look at it, the three generations are Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z. These are the three primary generations. Now, if you'll ask me, anyone from the Gen X they will find it very, very difficult to identify this particular symbol which I've just shown. And Madam has said very correctly, that's a Korean little heart. So this is big heart, right? Am I correct? This is big heart, sorry. This is something a big heart, and this is little heart, or a symbol for small loves, likes. Koreans, this is also used now by Gen Z for showing likes. So they show it, okay, if someone likes it, they'll just show this. My daughter, if I do something good, so she'll show me like this. And this I learned from my daughter only. Now, you'll ask me why, sir, we are talking about this. So, because this is a change. Whether we accept it or do not accept it, there will always remains a generation gap. Many of the things my daughter of my of mine are not liked by my daughter. When I tried her, why? What is wrong in it? So her answer is very standard one. Papa, you will not understand it. Well, yeah, I said, just try to explain me, but no. Yes, absolutely correct, Miss Prerna. Gen Alpha is also coming forward to that. But the question is, how do we segregate these generations? So, how do I know whether I am in Gen X or Gen Y or Gen Z? Or someone else has to know if they are in Gen X, like Garima ma'am wants to know, or Shilpa ma'am, or Shilpi ma'am, or anyone, Gaurav sir wants to know, or Amit sir wants to know whether they are Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z. How do they know? So it is dependent on the birth year. Don't look on this side. Just don't put on this. Just look at here. So if you can see here, anyone born between 65 to 80, that means if their birth year is in between 1965 to 1980, they are Gen X. Like I am a Gen X person. Anyone from 81 to 96 is Gen Y.
Gen Z,
Oh,
millennial.
millennials, right? So Gen Y or millennials. You might have gone through this particular word a lot. Gen Y is not, usually it is referred as millennials. And Gen Z is 97 to 2012. While 2013 to 2028 is the generation, and this generation is known as Gen Alpha,
Alpha.
right? Alpha. Now, the question is why this change, or why this different nomenclature of generations after every 15 years? What happens? What changes? Why this generations, has been named differently? Though anyone who has been born in, let's say, 74, 73, how that person is going to be different from the person who is born in 84, 85? What is that difference?
Maybe the experiences of their generation, and like the trends that their time, like.
But does that trend changes so much in our decades time, madam?
No, sir.
Then,
Now the transition is so fast. Earlier it was a gradual transition, but
right?
now it is a very much faster transition from these generations, sir.
Okay, absolutely correct. Yeah, Prerna ma'am, you are absolutely correct here that yes, it is in the thought process. This is about the attitude. It is about the beliefs, right? So it is all about thought process, behavior, your attitude, your thinking, that changes. So when I say this, had I shown this symbol to a class of class 9 students or a class 8 students, 99% of the students would identify in a half a minute time. I show it to the faculty members, 20% of the faculty members are able to identify, and most of that times their daughters or their sons, like in my case only, like I also learned it from my daughter. Same way, their daughter or son has taught them. It's not, and to tell you, this particular symbol is the world's most recognizable symbol of the year 2022. You just Google it up and you will see that in the 2022 it was the most recognizable and most used symbol in the world.
The Korean drama, because of the
Yeah,
Korean
K
series,
dramas and K pop,
K-dramas.
Korean dramas and Korean pop. That these two has contributed immensely, because now you see the K dramas has a global appeal. So my daughter is mad about she doesn't likes to watch any of the Indian dramas, that South typical Sahas Bahu or the type of dramas. Though now Indian dramas are also changed immensely. If you look at it, either it's Mirzapur or Gullak or Panchayat or similar kind of things, but still she doesn't likes to see any of them. What she likes is in the terms. Yeah, symbol is frequently used in reality shows as well. Yeah, it's they are also learning from Dr. Anjali. We are absolutely correct. They are also learning from the K dramas. So that there is a difference in thought process, the way we behave, right? The way we look at certain situations, and that's contributing immensely. For example, one of the my favorite example is, that's a real life example. You go to a bank. Sorry, it is being recorded. So just think of it, a bank a few years ago, a nationalized bank, right? And you have a 5 minutes work, but that person takes 50 minutes. What will be the reaction? What will be your reaction? What will you do? So remember what will do. You know that it's merely a 5 minutes work, but that person has taken 50 minutes to do that work. Though we very seldomly goes to the bank, bank
But,
branch, but
like, still we will have some, like, we will be patient, or we will we try to understand that what the problem is, like why there is a delay. We try to address.
it's the laziness of the person.
Then
It's more
automatically, like, we will go to the higher authority maybe.
right. You'll go to the higher authority, right? And you go to the branch manager, complain probably, right? I'll tell you what happens. My father, who was a traditionalist, he will go, right, and this happens. It has happened with him. He'll go sit once the water, the work gets completed. He'll rise. He'll bow twice to the person on the other side, say thanks to him, because he was very much glad that at least he has done his work. From a person like me, from the Gen X, I will be, mumbling in my mouth. These people does not do any work. I should have gone to a private bank. It should have might be a better, lot better. This is the kind of things that happens. I'll not come again, but I'll not do anything. I keep on, repeating this in within myself, and will be very much dissatisfied. Gen Y, like Madam said, will complain. Gen Z, most likely they will get in alteration with the person on the other side. Then they will complain to the branch manager as well. The moment they'll walk out
Post-mortem.
of the branch office, they'll post it on X, that is Twitter, right? That's the difference, right? So that is the difference between attitude, behavior, and thought processes. How they perceive things. So that's bringing a huge amount of change.
Sir, one more important, what I think is a like attribute, that they're born in the digital age.
Mhm. Ma'am,
Like,
it's not only being born in the digital age, definitely, yes. Like, for example, Gen Alpha. right? If you look at it, their attention span is very less, right? I have seen with many of the kids, even my daughter or many of
That is
my
why the
son.
reels are made for 1 minute.
Right. So because they are doing that for example, I used to, when I used to take interviews for the students for the admissions process earlier in my previous organization, what I've seen was they doesn't know in depth, because they doesn't had that patience to go through the newspaper article completely. What they will do, they will download certain apps on their mobiles and they'll go through the headlines quickly, and then they'll appear for the interview. So they know about it, but the moment you ask just a little bit deep into that particular news, what it is all about, they are clueless. So this is definitely, yes, what you are saying is absolutely correct. Yes, digital age is contributing immensely to that. But apart from age, also that changes happen. Like for example, Gen X and Gen Y, there was no digital age at that point of time, right? But still, the difference will be there, no doubt. Between Gen Y and Gen Z, the difference will be more starker.
Yes, sir.
That I agree fully. But a very valid point, madam. So, if you look at it here, another change that is contributing immensely is the number of connected devices. So, if you compare just the 2003 vis-a-vis to 2020, the data doesn't have the current data with me, but what I wanted to show you is the trend. Just look at the number of connected devices in 2003, which was half a billion. Compared to that is now almost more than 50 billion connected devices. So you can see almost the line is going vertically up. Now, it is giving rise to a phenomena which you all know by a very attractive name, which is known as IoT. IoT is Internet of Things. So if you
Thanks.
look at it, Internet of Things is in essence is nothing but connected devices. So my car is connected with my phone, with my mobile, which is connected with my refrigerator, which is connected with my lighting system, which is connected with my air conditioner, which is connected with Alexa, which is connected with my shopping, everything else. So this is nothing in essence. If you look at it, the basics of Internet of Things, this is nothing but Internet of Things, which is making it possible. But yes, it is bringing huge amount of change as well. So many of you might be aware about these questions, but people who don't know, world's largest taxi company, world's largest accommodation provider, and world's most valuable retailer. World's largest taxi company, easy to guess.
Uber,
Yes, ma'am, absolutely correct. World's largest accommodation provider,
Oyo.
Oyo. Oyo is actually modeled on a particular firm's business model. If you
Okay.
look at it, Ritesh Agarwal, the founder of Oyo, has actually taken the inspiration from another startup or another firm,
Mhm.
which is Airbnb,
Yes, Airbnb. Yes,
right? And
Airbnb
world,
is
right. So Airbnb is the one, and the world's most valuable retailer is
valuable
Amazon,
retailer.
not Walmart,
Amazon.
right? Not Walmart, because Walmart is the biggest, right? But Amazon has no doubt contribution of AWS in it, which contributes significantly. But these are the firms, right? If you look at the commonalities between them, there are large number of commonalities, which includes majority is one is tech based, right? They are majority of them are tech based, and another is this one. So if you look at it, Uber is the world's largest taxi company, but it do not owns any taxis. Practically, theoretically, they do own small fraction of the fleet sites that they operate, but it is very small. So on the practical purposes, you can say they do not own any taxis. Similarly, Airbnb is the largest accommodation provider, but still it do not own any real estate. And same way is with the Amazon. It's the world's most valuable retailer, again, but it does not holds any inventory. Again, if you look at it practically, it is zero, but theoretically it do hold certain SKUs as an inventory, but which are very, very fast moving. Now, had I said this to the some of the Gen X people in the 90s, they would have laughed at it at that point of time, because they would have asked me, sir, world's largest taxi company, and they do not own any taxis. That is not possible. But today's it is being possible. Another thing, right? Another big change that is happening in and around us. What is happening? What is your interpretation? Any one of you can anyone can tell what is their interpretation of this particular picture here?
Yes, sir. If we saw the picture, so we found that police has beaten someone. But actually, I feel that they people as the
They
police. Actually, police not beaten someone, and they escape the police with the other victim.
right, right. So, right, Prerna ma'am. So, if you look at it, this is the interpretation. If I had shown you this, but the moment if I'll show you this particular picture, sorry, right, and I don't know what's happening. Yeah. If I'll show you and tell you that this particular picture is taken half a fraction second before this one. So you can see here, it seems here that this police wala is beating this girl, but in essence, what happened was this police went to the village to capture a culprit, and that culprit was actually the brother of this girl. So, in order to give time to her brother to escape from the clutches of the police, what she did, she held on to the collar of the police. And because of her weight, the police fell down on her. So, someone took a burst shot from the mobile camera and took this picture out and tweeted it. Now, what happened was this police was just trying to evade her. Now, we are all living in the world of social media, social networking. So, this is something that we should be very aware of. This is also bringing a huge amount of change. And many of us are faculty members, so we should be very, very much aware of this aspect, right? I don't know this, you might have seen in one of the, this is last 2023's or 2022's news, that one of the faculty member in one of the private university at Puducherry. So in Puducherry, she was there. She went to the vacations in a coastal area, and she posted her photos from the vacay onto the Instagram. And the moment she came back, she was fired from her job by the university authorities. Reason? Some of the students were following her on Instagram. Some of the students were following her account on the Instagram, which was seen by some of their parents, students' parents, and their parents complained to the authorities, saying that the clothes worn by that particular faculty was inappropriate. Now look at it. That lady was on vacation, which she has availed by taking due leaves. And when you go to a coastal wear, you will wear going to be wear that kind of clothes only, the beach wears only. And she wore the beach wears, nothing inappropriate in that. But the university authorities took action. They fired her. She went to the high court, won there. But the point is, she has to go through a lot of trauma. So, being an academicians are a tough job now. We are under scrutiny. I know, my daughter shows me, so I tell her, do not do this. But you know what happens? Few months back, in fact, she was showing me that her English teacher has gone to some party and he was dancing there. So he might have posted it on Insta, some reel. So he was showing me, Papa, look how good our sir dances. So I was talking to her and I says, this is what happens. So your students, follows you in many of the times. So please ensure that it is up to the appropriate mark. Another thing is the change is very much fast as well. We usually think that change is slow, but change is fast as well. Look at the things that can happen in a minute on the internet. So in a single minute, 59 million messages are exchanged between the people. Google's search engine administers 4.1 million search queries in 1 minute. And this is 2020. And if I make it 2021, you can see here that 59 million has changed to 69 million. So that is the amount of growth. On YouTube's platform, 500 hours of content is uploaded in every 60 seconds. So that is the amount of change that is happening in and around us.
हाय, मैं हूँ सना और आज मैं आपको मिलाने वाली हूँ बॉलीवुड सुपरस्टार से। लेकिन पहले देखते हैं उनकी आने वाली फिल्म की झलकियाँ। मैं कौन हूँ? कौन नहीं? पता नहीं है। हाय, मैं हूँ शाहरुख खान। आपके लिए लेकर आया हूँ मेरी नई फिल्म जवान और मेरे साथ आज तक एआई। थैंक यू शाहरुख। अच्छा बताइए, मुझ में और आप में कौन सी बात कॉमन है? वैसे तो बहुत कुछ होगा, लेकिन आप बताइए ना। चलिए मैं बता देती हूँ। शाहरुख खान और मुझ में ये बात कॉमन है कि हम दोनों हमेशा जवान रहेंगे। बिल्कुल। वैसे एक और बात कॉमन है। कौन सी? आप सबने दोनों का नाम तो सुना होगा। थैंक यू शाहरुख। वैसे आपका चार्म देखकर तो मेरे एआई दिल में भी कुछ कुछ होता है। और हाँ, I am also 100% ready for जवान with the King Khan 7 सितंबर को आपके नजदीकी सिनेमा घरों में। Are you ready?
So you can see here that she was actually an AI rather than a human, and we cannot make the difference out of it. And this is also creating an issues, right? So we can see, the kind of social media coupled with AI technology, and you also club it with the deep tech technology as well. So people are falling, the cyber arrest became so bigger issue today that even our prime minister has to speak about it, right? You remember right now many people were getting cyber arrested by some of the criminals there, cyber criminals. I hope you are aware about it, so please be aware about it. I have seen many people falling victims to the cyber frauds. So whenever you are doing transaction on any unknown systems or some public systems, ensure that you look at the secure codes, right, for that matter. So, there are certain villages like Jamtara in Jharkhand and Nuhu in Haryana, where you can see large number of cyber criminals who are just merely class 8th or class 10th passed. They are not very high tech criminals, but they still do kind of frauds. So cyber frauds they do, and they are crorpatis, to be very frank. In Jantara, you will see there are large number of people who are crorpatis, and they have all, most of them are cyber criminals. Most of them, right? So it was very infamous for that. So in entertainment industry, in media, AI is being used extensively, even in fashion industry for that matter. So right now, AR Rahman in last year in a movie called Lal Salam, he used the voice of two singers who passed away 5 years back, though he compensated their families. But that created a bit of debate in the industry as well. Was it, appropriate or not? So these symbols. So the symbol on the left, right? This is very easy to guess. Many, all of us knows that, right? It is Chat GPT, right? But who is? How many of you know Devin? Just raise hands. How many of you know Devin? How many you are aware about the Devin? Just raise hands here. How many of you know Devin? Prerna ma'am, you know Devin? Okay. Anyone know Devin? You might be aware about Gemini. So Gemini is
AI, Google AI.
Google AI. Alok sir, you know Devin as well? Or you know Gemini only?
Germany only, sir.
Gemini. So Gemini, Google's AI, but Devin is world's first fully autonomous AI-based software engineer, which can do low-end programmings in few minutes. So that humans takes few days. That particular program is written by Devin in few minutes. So that's a huge change that is happening. If you look at it, these are the domains. No doubt, each and every industry or domain is being impacted by AI, or more so generative AI, I'll rather say. But if you look at it, definitely education is one of the domain which is being impacted very heavily by this AI, generative AI. And most of us are in education domain, so we have to be aware about this particular chain. Garima, ma'am, you would like to say
Yes,
something?
sir. So come again because
You want to
there
say
was
something? You have raised hand.
no. So you asked her who know
Okay,
that.
okay,
Then I
okay.
raised her. Yeah,
Yeah, Prerna,
understood.
ma'am, you like to say something? Okay. So, education, finance, software engineering, journalism, graphic design. So, I've already shown you the impact on journalism. In fact, not only Aaj Tak, even in regional languages, the AI avatars are being used to read news. So, in Odisha, there is an Odia channel which uses AI, which reads news in Odia language, local language. And look at it, that's the thing that is happening here. So software engineering, as I already told you, Devin. Devin is the world's first fully autonomous AI software engineer, and it is again bringing a huge amount of change in this domain. How many of you know this guy? I know. I hope all of you might be aware about him, right? He is Robert Downey Jr., aka the Iron Man, the person who made Iron Man very famous. So we know he just came out with this. This is a few weeks, October last month's news only. So where he has said that Hollywood studios cannot create his AI digital replica. He said, "I will otherwise I will sue all those who are going to use that or who are going to recreate my likeliness." The point I'm trying to bring in here is this particular AI is also bringing in huge amount of issues also as well. No doubt it is making our life easier. But I came across a beautiful video, small video, right, wherein the person goes and says, this particular technology does this. So the other person said, no, I don't want this thing to do this. I want this to do the other aspect so I can spend time for myself. Right. So the point here is that we are going into a certain loop as well, which is creating new challenges, new issues. So one is definitely digital rights and other associated intellectual property rights associated with the usage of generative AI. So we have seen many of the celebrities falling victim of these uh, AI generated photographs and videos. One is this. The another is this. So anyone who is from the psychology, you are mentioning, Garima ma'am, that there are few people from the psychological domain as well. So this is something for very interesting for them to explore. Recently, one of the this particular boy whose picture is shown here, he committed a suicide. The reason was he was in love with AI. He fell in love with AI. There is a thing called character.ai. So she registered himself on that and started talking to it is a generative AI again. She started talking to that particular AI and she made her a girlfriend there, kind of a girlfriend sort of it. And then I don't know how much, but there were two types of reports. One side of the report says that AI actually prompted her to commit suicide. So this is something very frightening, very dangerous. I was, you might have seen Matrix movie long ago or some other similar type of movies where the machines takes over the humanities. But can this be the starting or something? But yeah, this is happening. The reason is simple. Machines are learning, machine learning, and humans are hooked.
So to understand this more, those who haven't seen, there is one movie also, Control, CTRL.
Oh yeah,
So it shows, depicts how AI is controlling our life and how it is doing the data breaching. Many of the companies, MNCs are there who via these AIs are reaching our life, and doing a data breach is being done on a very larger level, which common people or people like us also do not know. So please,
absolutely.
yeah, you can watch CTRL movie, is very good movie on this thing, that how AIs are
Very
controlling
true.
our life.
Very true, ma'am. In fact, we don't know. Many of us don't know. Many of us uses Android, and the moment in the mobile phones, right? So we have Android-based mobile phones. You switch off the mobile phone and you visit some of the places that you have not gone before, and you look at your Google timeline. You can see your Google timeline, and you will see that those locations will also be in that timeline where you have visited with your mobile phone switched off.
Because there is tracker which we do not
It
know.
tracks. It tracks you each and every time, every single second. So I remember watching a small, similar kind of movie that I'll show you a small video. So similar type of a small video, 10-minute video, was shown to me by one of my junior during my MBA days. In 2000, no, when I went back for PhD work, right? So when I came back to PhD, one of my junior was in the final year of her IPG. He was in integrated 5-year program. So when we entered MBA, he was in first year. So when I came back for PhD, he was in the final year, the fourth or final year. So he showed me one of the very small video at that point of time called, it was the video's title was Dawn of the Google. And it was very, very frightening at that point of time. But if I look at it now, it looks very normal, because that whatever that was told in that particular video has actually become true now. And it showed how Google is going to use your information, and they are going to use it for their benefits and other things. But yes, definitely what Garima ma'am has raised a point here, that it is very valid. Please, this is something that we should be aware about. But right now everyone is into the race, and for that race they want to win, and for that they are you know actually embracing the generative AI like anything. But we don't know. It might be something. Can be turned out to be a, like what happened with the vaccine, COVID vaccine as well.
Yes, sir,
So we
because
don't know.
it's playing with the psychology with like crores of and millions of people, those who
Yes.
are using the AI.
Yes, yes, ma'am. And in fact, initially, even many of the companies which have launched their products, so Binge has been launched, Copilot. Now they have renamed it as Copilot. But when they were testing it, Microsoft was testing it. It actually threatened one of the tester. One of the tester they invited was a journalist. So they invited number of people from varied domains, varied fields, to test their thing. And when this journalist tried to probe it, the AI became so offended that it started threatening the journalist, saying that I will, destroy your career, I will destroy your family. He said, I will post certain photos on your social profiles so that your girlfriend will dump you and your employers will fire you.
So this kind of story is only shown in the CTRL control
Right.
movie.
Right.
Yeah, at the end he has to die like because of this AI thing.
Right. So this is a change that is happening, and it is happening very, very fast. How many of you know these two people which have been shown on the screen? They are
Facebook owners, Mark Zuckerberg.
no, they are not Facebook owners now, no more. They are
Okay,
Meta owners,
okay, sorry, Meta
right?
owners. Yeah.
Right. So they are right. Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Meta, and Priscilla Chen, his wife, and also the COO of the Meta. So why this name change? Just look at this small video.
So, we're gonna have an astrophysicist in the family. Actually, I have to write this paper. Will you help me? Let's take a closer look. What part of the solar system are we talking about? Saturn. If you were taking astrophysics, you could study in the metaverse. Did you know the rings are made up of billions of icy particles? Really? Look at this. You're ready to do that paper now, right? Yeah. In the metaverse, you'll be able to teleport not just to any place, but any time as well. Ancient Rome. Imagine standing on the streets, hearing the sounds, visiting the markets, to get a sense of the rhythm of life over 2,000 years ago. Imagine learning how the forum was built by actually seeing the forum get built right in front of you.
So this is just about metaverse, wherein now this is the next change, big change in the way we surf the web. So right now we have a screen in front of us, and there is a difference wherein we surf the web. But in the next thing, we are going to enter into the internet, and that we are going to surf it in the help of metaverse. So that is another big change that is happening in and around us. Even the base technologies in these two is AR and VR. So if you look at it in the metaverse, it is most about augmented reality as well. So we are going to have a lot of teachers who are going to be trained by the Indian government as well, because augmented reality is something that is going to have a huge impact in the educational domain. So as an educator, we should be aware about this technology. I hope all of you are aware about the difference between VR and AR and XR. There is another term that is coming up right now, which is known as extended reality. So A stands for augmented, V stands for virtual, and X stands for extended. So many times extended reality is also referred to as mixed reality. So three types of realities: virtual reality, augmented reality, and extended reality, or also known as mixed reality. I hope all of you are aware about the difference.
Sir, when iPhone also launched with iPhone XR, many were not known why this XR word is used. It was,
Okay.
sir, for this only extended what you are saying, sir.
Okay. So let me explain the difference between the three, right? Okay. In this photograph, one is VR, one is XR, one is AR. Which one is VR? Which one is XR? Which one is AR? Can anyone tell me that from left to right? So let's say this one first. Can anyone tell me whether this one is what? VR or AR or XR? This one, the one which I've just circled out.
XR.
No, this is VR. This is VR, right? This is VR. This is
AR.
the
So the
big.
second one is AR,
Absolutely correct. The third one is XR.
XR.
Let me tell you the difference here. In the virtual reality, you wear the head for any eyewear, and you are disconnected with your current physical environment. So then it becomes, you go into another world which is virtual. So that is virtual reality. In the augmented reality, you are in connect with the physical environment, existing physical environment, as well as the virtual content. So you can see here, the only difference between VR and XR is, oh sorry, AR and XR is, you can see here in the augmented reality, I am unable to understand the interaction between the virtual content and the physical environment. So you can see here, I am unable to understand whether this digital robot, which is virtual, ideally it is a digital content, right? It is not in the physical environment, but I am unable to understand whether it is behind the sofa or in front of the sofa. But in the extended reality, you can see here, it is interacting with the my physical environment. So my digital content is actually interacting with the physical environment, in essence that I am able to know that this digital content or this digital robot is actually behind the sofa. I can make it out. It is just like a virtual in what happens in the real world. So this is what the difference between VR, AR, and XR, or XR or mixed reality. Some people refer it to as mixed reality. Some people or firms use the terms extended reality or XR. Now you look at it, many companies have started using it. Amazon is using it for selling its products. You can see, if you want to buy washing machine, you want to buy certain cupboards or some almiras, they have an option in many of the products, view in your room. The moment you open Amazon's app on your mobile phone, uh, Android or iOS, whatever it is there, you can see that the moment you are viewing through that particular product, you can see it says view in your room. And the moment you click it and you point it towards the location where you want to keep your product, it will show you that how the product will look once the actual product comes to you in that particular place. So this is also bringing huge amount of change in our lives, right? So this is things. So what is these are bringing huge changes. Now let's look at these things, startups. So if you can see here, I have shown you certain startups, though many of them have graduated out and now have entered into the either the medium or large enterprises domain. Like for example, now no longer Nika is a startup, right? No longer Paytm is a startup. No longer Zomato, no longer Swiggy is a startup now. So all these firms have now just graduated out from being a startup to enterprise. But at some point of time, they were startups. And if you look at it, they were not some ordinary startups. They were basically unicorns, right? So right now in India, if you look at it, there are more than 111 unicorns in the country. And all these unicorns, first of all, what is a unicorn? I hope the definition of a unicorn is clear to all of you. What is a unicorn? Hello. Any idea what is a unicorn?
Sir, it's a $1 billion
$1 billion what?
of the revenue startups.
Uh, Not revenue, ma'am. Because if you look at it, many of the firms are still not able to achieve the 1 billion revenue markups, right? So it is the valuation, right? So it is about valuation, not the financial firms. So any startup whose valuation, that is market valuation, becomes 1 billion US dollar or more is termed as a unicorn. So tomorrow, if Lenskart, Piyush Bansal wants to sell Lenskart in the market, he or she, Piyush Bansal will be able to receive 1 billion US dollar or more. That is what is a unicorn. So it is the valuation. That means the value of the startup is more than $1 billion, 1 billion US dollar, or more than that. Miss Ankita, can you just please mute yourself? Yeah, thank you. So if it is 1 billion US dollar or more, then it is termed as a startup. So it is all about valuation, not the revenues. So we have seen number of startups becoming unicorn. So this was the firms that became unicorn in the year 2021, which includes names like Creds, Echo, Spinny, Vedantu, and so on. Licious, Grow, Mama Earth, and all. If you look at it, these are the startups, though the race or the rate at which the companies were becoming startup has slowed down a little bit. But I want to focus on this particular one, right? Unifor, an interesting one from the faculty's perspective, because it is when it was became unicorn, it was valued at 1.85 US billion dollars, right? So 1.85 billion US dollars. And interestingly, it is a startup which is incubated in IIT Madras incubation center of IIT Madras. And one of the IIT Madras faculty professor is actually holding 20% stake in this particular startup. He is also a faculty at IIT Madras, as well as he holds 20% stake equity in this particular startup. So you can just figure it out. 20% of 1.85 billion US dollar will be how much USD, and then multiply that by 85. That is the amount of money that he is having from this particular startup. So that's why I said, if someone wants to get in more detail, you can always refer NISP, National Innovation Startup Policy of Government of India, which is used by Ministry of Education as well, and it is in fact allows faculty members in the government institutes to be a part of a startup. There are certain conditions that are laid down there, but yes, even if you can be drawing salary from the government, and at the same time you can be part of the startup culture as well. So that's something government of India has given a huge amount of flexibility to the academicians or the faculty members as well. So if you look at it, the major sectors comprises of financial sectors as well as edtech sectors. So edtech is one of the favored one in the last year for that matter. And if you look at it, it's not only the tier 1 towns, right? But even the tier 2 and tier 3 are now started to attract fundings for their startups, for the startups focused in the tier 2 and tier 3 towns for that matter. So as per one projection, Indian startup space is bound to surpass uh, the Chinese startup ecosystem. Currently, we are the number 3 startup ecosystem in the world, and by the end of 2025, we will become the number 2, just after the US. Right now, we are behind both. First, number 1 is US, number 2 is China, and we are at third. But pretty soon we will surpass China and will be number 2 startup ecosystem in the world. It is not that there are no issues with the startups. As I said, change is the only constant in life. You can see that many of the startups are also facing the heat. So it is not only the Byju's, Ola, it is Blinkit as well, it is Unacademy, Vedantu. So there are issues. So change is happening. Until unless we don't focus on that, it is going to take an issues. Another aspect that which is contributing immensely to the dream of making India a self-reliant one is MSMEs. But the question is, how do we define MSME? So whether a company is a startup, is it a small enterprise, is it a micro enterprise, or it is a medium enterprise? How do I know that? That is my question to all of you. Is my question clear to all of you? So I'm quite sure. Okay, I'll repeat my question. How do I know whether it's first, let's say, a difference between a startup and a small business? Then I'll come back to the other questions of micro and small. Sir Sulabh sir, not turnover, because as I said initially, there will be very less turnover in both. So how can I know from a turnover? Sulabh sir? Okay, micro less than 1 crore investment. Okay. Mm, well, the turnover and investment. Yeah, it's very true. So if I look at it, micro, small, medium, and enterprises, the definition is very clear. So initially it was on the basis of investment. Now it is a composite definition. That means both investment and turnover are used in the definition of micro, small, and medium. So the difference between micro, small, and medium is related to both aspects. One is investment and turnover. So for example, this was the old definition, which was based only on the basis of investment. You can see this is the old one. In the 2020, the government of India revised it and made this definition. You can see here the difference is there. So if the investment is less than 1 crore and the turnover is less than 5 crore, then it is only a micro one. So it's a composite. It's not or here, it is and here, if you can see here. So if your turnover goes above 5 crore, then you will not be a micro, but you will be a small one. Then. For a small enterprise, you have investment has to be less than 10 crore and turnover has to be less than 50 crore. And similarly, this is the new criteria for medium enterprises. That means the investment has to be less than 20 crore and turnover has to be less than 100 crore, which was later on again revised from 100 crore to 250 crores. So now the current existing criteria is 20 crore and 250 crores. I think 20 crore or 50 crore, if I'm correct. Just forget to check it out, that whether if someone can help me, it is the investment criteria for the MSME. So I think it is in medium enterprises it has been raised to 50 crores now. So turnover is 250 crores. That I am 100% sure that it has been raised to 250 crores, while this investment also has been increased to 50 crores. So 1, 10, 50. That is the thing. If you look at it, this revision of definition has also actually resulted in a large number of benefits, and some of the benefits you can see here is this can be seen in this particular slide. So one is the biggest benefit is regarding the incremental tax obligations. Then there are large number of benefits that are available to the MSME sector as compared to the large enterprises, and which helps the not only in the terms of economies of scale, but also in the productivity gain as well. Right. But coming back to the previous question of that is regarding the startup. What is startup? How do I say whether it's a startup or a small business? Okay, I can understand we have just talked about the definition aspect. But I want to know from you in practical. So like Manipal University has large number of students, right? And I opens up a one small kind of a shop outside their campus gate. And I am selling different type of teas and along with some food. So whether it's a small business or a startup, is my question clear or shall I repeat? Okay, let me repeat. Suppose I have just opened now, for example, here outside our campus, there is also CET, Chandigarh College of Engineering and Technology. Now in CCET, this outside their campus, and because we NITR also has certain students, and CCET also has a couple of thousand students. So I opens up a small stall a small kiosk I put up where I am started selling tea, different flavor teas, right, along with some food items. So whether it's a startup or a small business, new small business or a startup. Is my question clear now? So I have received some answers. Startup. Why, Gaurav sir? Why it's a startup? Why I cannot say it's a small business? So I can go to startup. Dr. Bhakti Banvaskar ma'am says, Dr. Bhakti ma'am says small business. So I'm getting one answer as startup, one as why it's a small business, ma'am. Why it cannot be a startup? I want to know the reasons. Technical in operations, okay. So produce products, earn service. So, madam, can't Chayos is a startup, right? Or MBA Chaiwala is also a startup, or Chai Sutta Bar is also. So startup should be a unique idea. So different chai flavors. The moment I start different chai flavors, I will become a startup, not a small business. But it's a small thing, na small outlet. I am trying to sell chai from, right? So let me clarify it. Prerna ma'am, so new concept or perspective. Can you explain what that perspective can be? Because selling tea is not a new concept. What do you mean by perspective here, Ms. Prerna? You said new concept or perspective. So let me tell you the difference. Okay, you're not able to unmute yourself. Okay, Hashim, yeah, Hashim Raja. Yes, sir. You'd like to say something, Hashim Raja? Unique material. So let me clarify this thing. A, yes. If you look at it, the difference between no, not different customization. So I can make a different customization there. It can be a small business, it can be a startup. Let me tell you. Yeah, Pramod sir, you like to say something? Let me tell you. Yes, it can be selling of any material. So if you look at it, the definition of startup requires five things. One is age of the firm, right? Size of the firm. The third is the transaction, right? And one of the things that separates small business from
बस उसका केला बड़ा छोटा है
that separates a small business from a startup is two things. One is innovation and scalability. Now, if you look at it, Chai Sutta Bar is a startup. MBA Chai Wala is a startup. Chayos is a startup. But you'll ask me, sir, what they have done, what innovation they have done. So look at it. Innovation is not always in the product. It can be also in the process as well. So they have done innovation in the process so that there is scalability in their business. So the difference between the small business and a startup is scalability. Startups are scalable very quickly. Small business is not. So tomorrow, if I open this particular outlet outside my campus gate in order to cater to CCET and NITR students, now whether it's a small business or a startup will depend on the fact that how quickly I am able to scale this my business without compromising on the quality. So tomorrow, if I don't do, I start making tea myself and with different flavors and start selling it. It becomes successful. I'll open another one, say, let's say near Pack, Punjab Indian College, another in Punjab University. I can manage 2 3 outlets if I'll do put up lot of hard work. But tomorrow, if I tries to go to, let's say, Patiala, and open that in front of Thapar University, then I will face challenges, huge challenges, because now the business is dependent on me. And there are high chances that if I focus on the Patiala business, my Chandigarh business will falter. Or if I focus on Chandigarh business, my Patiala business will shut down. Right? But what Chayos or Chai Suttabar or MBA Chaiwala has done, they have created or they have done innovation in the process in a way that they are not dependent on a person to do or to create the unique flavors. So what they have done is they have created, in the food, standardization is the biggest challenge. So they have done innovation there, and which makes their things scalable. So please keep this in mind. It's all dependent on two aspects. One is innovation. Innovation can be in product as well as in process, not necessarily always product. Though that is why one answer I got is product. It's tech based, because usually technology helps you in scalability. That's why most of the startups we sees are oriented towards technology, but it's not the mandatory condition. The mandatory conditions are two, and that are reflected in Government of India as well. So you can see here this particular criteria, this particular criteria, this particular criteria, as well as this particular criteria are satisfied by both a new small business as well as a startup. But this is something that will be only satisfied by the startup for that matter. Right? I hope definition is very clear, because otherwise it will be very difficult for you to guide your students to go to which ministry. Tomorrow, if your student comes to you and says, sir, madam, I have this particular idea and I have done this particular groundwork. Now I want to avail certain benefits in order to launch my own startup. Or even if you want to start your own small business or startup, right? Then you have to guide them, right? Which ministry you should avail the benefits from. So whether you should go to the Ministry of MSME or you should go to startupindia.gov.in and register yourself on the portal of DPIIT. It will be all dependent on whether it is innovation and scalability. Yeah, I have got certain query there. Small business map is something you start conducting the business, but only thing is the scalability is not quick. Many times you might have seen companies opening their offices in the other parts of the countries as well, and though still they remains medium or a small business, but they have taken an organic growth. There has to be an organic growth. That means I will first establish the business here, make the necessary systems, and then I will move. So it will take me around 8 to 10 years or 5, at least minimum 5 to 6 years to go to the next or in some other part along another part of the city or country apart from my own current one. But in startups case, you go very fast, you scale very fast, and this is the precise reason that the funding they attracts more funding. You can ask me a precise question, ma'am. I'll try to answer that, but I hope so I'll start selling probably steel like in a traditional manner way. It is the names. Okay, you want names. Okay, so I don't know, you can look at in number of companies in which are family owned in your city. You are from which city, madam? If you can tell me, I'll try to see in Aurangabad. So I don't know any. I've not visited Aurangabad. Probably you will invite me for a session or two there. So then I will be able to tell you But yes, like for example, in our city there is Bansal Textiles, right, which is a small business, right. There is another company called which Bansal Textiles deals in the manufacturing of uh, yarns and knitwear. Similarly, we have one firm which manufactures steel utensils. It is known as Gupta's Steel, something like, I don't know. We need Gupta's Steel and company for that matter. So it's a medium enterprise, because what they are doing is they are manufacturing steel utensils and they are limited to this particular location. So similarly, you'll find large number of family owned businesses in the market of Aurangabad, right? If you visit next time, you'll see, depending on their see whether they are a small or a micro or a medium enterprise, right? I hope that makes it clear, ma'am. So, because of these changing times, you can see here there are large number of job roles or job profiles that are going to be redundant, and some of the jobs roles are going to be in high demand. So the one in the red, which I've just circled in the red, are on the top, are going to be in high demand, which includes data analysts and scientists, information security analysts, IoT specialist, fintech engineers. So fintech is the word made from finance plus technology. So FIN from finance and tech from technology. So fintech engineers. Right now, if you look at it, prompt engineering in the context of AI domain, the prompt engineering is also becoming pretty big nowadays. So as I said, fintech is poised to generate the largest number of future unicorns in India. It is going to be a huge thing there. So whether we accept it or we do not accept it, one thing is pretty sure that upskilling is required. So these type of FDPs served just and provides you an insight into the skills that are required, because as we know, in the future there are a large number of skills. These are the skills that will be required by the work by the our students, and which includes a lot of them. And if you look at it, even the entrepreneurial skills are required. So if you look at it, though those are in generic in nature, and some of the entrepreneurial skills are also required, because not only you know they require entrepreneurs, they are going to become entrepreneur. No, not everyone. Then why they require entrepreneurial skills? Because doesn't matter whether you are going to work for a large firm or a medium firm, or you going to work for someone else or going to work for yourself. That means you're going to become an entrepreneur. You require entrepreneurial skills. That means it is a life skills. So companies like Google and other similar big organizations wants to have as many entrepreneurs as they can. So there is a word called entrepreneurs. Can anyone tell me what is the difference between an entrepreneur and an intrapreneur? So there is a word called entrepreneur and intrapreneur. Anyone knows that? The word called intrapreneur. So the word intrapreneur means someone who works like an entrepreneur but in a job. So Google, what it does is it takes a team of few people, assigns them a fund and a task, and then leave it to them to manage it. So they works like an entrepreneur in the Google setup. That means they are on the roles of Google, but they behaves just like an entrepreneur. So that helps them Google to come out with large number of innovation. So if you look at it, these are the certain entrepreneurial skills and attributes, which includes critical thinking, opportunity, Yeah, start your own business. Absolutely correct, sir. Entrepreneurs is someone who works for themselves, so they can their own business or something. Even you have called thing called social entrepreneurs as well. So flexibility and adaptability, opportunity recognition, creativity and innovation, comfort with risk, communication and collaboration. So these are certain skills that, yeah, absolutely correct, sir. Maheshwari sir, Ramesh sir will absolutely correct. You are absolutely correct there. So someone entrepreneur is someone who works for another company, works for existing company, but they shows the entrepreneurial skills in while working in the existing company. So coming back to entrepreneurial skills and attributes. So these are the certain entrepreneurial skills and attributes. But the million dollar question is how to inculcate these skills and attributes. So there are a number of ways through which you can actually inculcate entrepreneurial skills and attributes. But one of the things that is the foremost out of these ways is to have growth mindset. That means moving away from a fixed mindset to the growth mindset. And how do you do that? You do that by embracing the failure, by celebrating the failure. Now, one of the biggest irony or one of the biggest drawback of our society is that we consider failure as a pretty big negative thing. While in my view, a failure is one of the most beautiful thing, provided the person is learning from that. That is the condition supplied, right? Asterisk mark. So a person, if a person is learning from the failure, then there is nothing like failure or nothing sweeter like failure. So only thing is we have to learn from it. Just to show you how a person can learn from it, there is a very interesting and a very famous story. So who invented the electric bulb? Who invented the electric bulb? Yeah, Edison. Absolutely correct. Thomas Edison invented it. So you know that he failed 990 times before he invented the bulb. So once he became successful, there was a press conference. So in the press conference, one of the reporter asked Edison, "Sir, how did you felt when you failed 990 times before inventing the bulb?" To which Edison gave a reply which was very beautiful. So Edison gave reply to this person as, "Sir," he said, "Sir, who said to you that I failed 990 times? It is only the process of invention of the electric bulb comprises of 999 91 steps. That is. So you can see from his answer that he considered every step as a or every failure as a step towards the success. And that's what I might want to say. And it is difficult to follow. I do agree, but the moment we moves away from fixed mindset to the growth mindset, that means we start seeing failure as something, as a challenge, as something to learn from. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, yeah, absolutely same, sir. Right, Ramesh sir? Absolutely same time, same thing. So this is something where you look at it, and I'll say, look failure as a learning step, because in the words of Frank Zappa, the mind is like a parachute. It works best when it is open, right? So sometimes this is the motto of the life I usually follow. So sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. So coming back to this, and for this entrepreneurial ventures, the startups are very, very much important to the aspect of self-reliant India, or what we call the government's campaign as Atmanirbhar Bharat. And if you know, there are five pillars of this self-reliant India. What are these five pillars? These are the five pillars. So the government, our honorable Prime Minister, when he, you know, declared, or this when he gave this concept of self-reliant India, though it's a concept which was already there, but when the present government started to focus on this aspect of self-reliant India, so the infrastructure required for education, for in for healthcare and so on. So here the infrastructure doesn't uh, you know doesn't represents only the physical infrastructure in terms of like your flyovers or roads. No, it is also includes infrastructure like digital infrastructure, the healthcare infrastructure, and the same per se. The system should be technological driven in order to stop the leakages in the PDS. PDS is public distribution systems. And as we know that our country is very rich in demographical dividends. So because of this demographic or vibrant demography, we can have demographical dividends. And this particular campaign of the government wants to harness that. Along with that, the demand. So we know that India is the country where the biggest chunk of population is in the age bracket of 25 to 40. So not only we have the resources, or we have the population for as the workforce, as the young workforce, but we also have the largest consumption potential as well. So this particular aspect, so these five pillars are the foundation of self-reliant India, in which, and I'm quite sure we have done a lot number of things. The government has earmarked large number of funds, not in order to boost the primary sectors, which includes agriculture, also healthcare, education as well. And they sees MSME and startup as the vital cogs in this particular journey. So I'm quite sure that these five pillars will definitely contribute to our vision of developed nation by 2047.